behind us is the MG ZS.
Now briefly, last year we got to drive this at the launch event. I mean, we spent, what, maybe half an hour behind the wheel?
Yeah, I think we had just about 20 minutes driving it, and we received some harsh comments on our review of the car. However, now we're here to bring you our full review.
First things first, yes, MG is now Chinese.
But that isn't a bad thing. MG show their faith in their car. They now give you a 7-year warranty.
And they start at £12,500. I mean, just look at it. Saying that, I'm going to be looking at the exterior and the styling.
I'm going to be taking a look at the practicality, the functionality.
And then we'll both drive it.
We'll then bring you our verdict on whether or not this is the car for you. Now you might think, because of the MG ZS's low price point, that it'll be quite sparse in here. However, it's actually very nice. Now there is leather along the top of the dash, and you've got leather seats. Now admittedly, it's not real leather, but it does uplift the feel of the car. The plastics have a nice feel to them, everything feels well screwed together. Now admittedly they're not soft plastics, and when you do feel lower down, it does get a bit scratchy, but that's to be expected. When it comes to functionality on this car, you've got all-around electric windows, electrically operated door mirrors. The car also locks itself when you set off, which is nice. A leather-wrapped steering wheel with media controls, cruise control, automatic lights. You've got an 8-inch touchscreen infotainment system with Apple CarPlay, sat-nav and phone connectivity. You've also got DAB radio. You are also able to change some of the car's settings in the infotainment system. You have urban, normal and dynamic. Your heater and air conditioning controls are along the bottom here. There's a USB port and a 12-volt socket. You do also get stop-start, which is nice. And overall, it's very well equipped in here. Now, it is worth mentioning that the model we have here is about £15,500. When it comes to practicality, these faux leather seats are very comfortable. There's plenty of adjustment, and this is all done manually. There is height adjustment in the steering wheel, however, there is no reach adjustment. That would have been nice to see. The door bins are large enough for a large bottle of water. The cup holders in the middle here are a tad small. There's a little storage area here for something like your phone. There's a USB port and a 12-volt socket. There's also a little mat here to store things on, and the glove box is of a decent size as well. The surprising thing is about this car is it's actually better equipped and has nicer materials than some of its more expensive competitors. Overall, in the front here, it's very good. These retro style vents, the materials that are used, it's a very, very good item for the price. Now, there are a few niggles. These seats do feel a little bit small as a 6-foot male. There are a couple of buttons down here that are sort of covered over, that don't do anything, and considering this is one of the top spec cars, it's just a little bit annoying. There's also the fact that there's not really a lot of bass in the sound system. That could be improved, but overall it's very good for what you get for your money. Stepping into this car is nice and easy. That's thanks to the raised ride height. Now once you're back here, there's plenty of room. I'm 6 foot tall, this seat's in my driving position, and I've got ample amount of knee room and loads of headroom. Now there is no panoramic sunroof, but even still it does feel quite light and airy back here. There is decent size door bins here, electric windows, and the styling from the front is continued into the back. There's also little pockets on the back of the seats, and you've got ISOFIX points on both of these outer seats. Now admittedly, carrying 3 people back here would probably be a bit of a squeeze, however 2 adults shouldn't have a problem at all. It's also nice that the rear windows do go all the way down. You have got electric windows, there's side airbags. Now there is nothing like an armrest or a 12-volt socket back here, but of course that's where they save the money. Coming around to the boot of the car, you don't have a power tailgate, however you can unlock it using the key. Once you're back here, you have 448 litres of boot space. Now you might think there is a rather large load lip, however there is a false floor which reduces that dramatically. Now you have got a nice large open space. The seats are also split folding, and once they're folded down you have 1375 litres of boot space. There is also tethering points and your inflation kit if in case you get a flat.
Now the first thing you'll notice about the MG ZS is this commanding front grille. And this is the new identity of the brand. They're appealing to a new audience, SUV audience. They're renowned for two-seater sports cars, and realistically that's not the market anymore. At the front of the car you've got autonomous LED headlights. Now these are far superior to the earlier models of headlamps on the cars. You've also got daytime LED running lights, front fogs. There's no parking sensors, but that's where MG save their money. You've got a raised ride height, you've got 17-inch alloy wheels, you've got electrically operated mirrors, remote central locking. You've also got this cladding around the arches and the sill, chrome style roof bars, and disc brakes all round. At the rear of the car you can see that it's got some rather funky design lines. It also has lots of chrome. You've got a boot spoiler. There's no power tailgate, but you do have a reversing camera and parking sensors.
Well, it must be said, the MG ZS is full of surprises, because it's actually a great car to drive.
Mind you, we did find that when we took it for the drive at the introduction, if you remember, it really grabbed us then.
Yeah, like remembering back, I preferred the 1 litre automatic.
Yeah.
But this 1.5 manual is actually very good. I quite like it.
The only thing you need to do is you basically need to, well, drive it really hard, because it's a relatively old engine. So it needs to be driven hard to get any kind of performance, because a lot of reviews say it's got a naff engine. But the MG3, if you drove that hard, then it could rocket along.
That's it, you only get any real performance sort of after 3,000 revs, which I'm not that used to that after driving my Fiesta that has a big turbo on it.
Whereas I've been driving this at 6,500 and seeing how it performed, and it can take off when you basically redline it. But that's what these engines are for. I mean, yeah, okay, admittedly it would be better with a turbo, like the GS.
Yeah, I guess, like, it doesn't feel very underpowered, but it has the power when it needs it. But if you do want to have some more spirited driving, then you are going to have to work it.
But you will then lose economy.
Yes, like we've been getting around 40 mpg, which for a car of this size and this price bracket, that's quite good, because like if you want a Fiesta or an EcoSport with the economical 1 litre engine, then you're going to pay quite a few £1,000s extra for it.
Well, it's like this, isn't it? If you buy the 3-cylinder 1 litre, I think it's the GM engine, then you'll be paying 17.5. So yeah, there's quite a difference really.
But that is with all your other bits and pieces like sat nav and alloy wheels and all that on as well. So
it's horses for courses. It's what you prefer to drive. Do you prefer a manual? Do you prefer an automatic?
Yeah. Like, one thing that I really do like in this car is the gearbox, because we've driven some cars that are far more expensive than this with a manual gearbox, and it's actually been far less responsive, a lot more sloppy.
This is way more refined, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got nice ratios, and there's a nice throw, and once it's in the gear, it stays. There's not.
There's no play.
Another gearbox inside it.
Yeah.
When it comes to handling, that's very good as well.
Yeah. Especially with those modes.
Yeah, the dynamic mode just tightens it up a bit more and just makes it that bit more responsive. You're really able to have a bit of fun in this car. Normal,
as you'd expect, just drives like a normal vehicle, and urban makes everything a little lighter, so you can park easier and manoeuvre.
Yeah, like it's great really. Like, we've not really had any problems. We've been in multi-storey car parks, we've been on back lanes, we've been on motorways, and it's performed very well. And
you've got that reversing camera as well with the parking sensors, so manoeuvring it's very easy.
I think the ride's also very good as well.
It is.
Like, we've been carrying friends and relatives around in it for the last couple of days, and they've not had any complaints about. They said it's quite comfortable. And I drove it down from the lakes, and it was a great drive. It was a 3-hour journey, and it was perfect. Even in high winds, it felt under control. I mean, I've driven some vehicles and they kind of waft around in the winds, but this didn't. It felt very well planted. I think people do struggle to believe that this is actually one of the cheapest well, it's the cheapest car in its class.
Yeah. Okay, when we say dynamic, we don't mean it's a Ferrari Aperta, and we don't mean it's a McLaren 570S. It's relative.
Yeah, like when you compare this to like a Ford EcoSport or that Citroen C3 Aircross we tested last week, it's definitely very good for the money.
As we mentioned, they start at 12,495, and you do get all-round disc brakes, which is quite rare for that kind of price, especially on a vehicle this size, and it does brake well.
Yeah, like I've not had a problem with the brakes. They're very, very good.
Yeah, they're very sharp.
I find it quite funny, a car with all-round disc brakes and he's running on Steelies.
Yeah.
But this one does look very good on those alloys.
It does.
And I don't think it's actually hindered the ride at all. I think it still felt very comfortable.
Yeah, I know, considering it's got low-profile tyres, it is not a bumpy ride. It's very controlled, but it's quite refined too.
I think my thought is if this is what MG has done by their third car as new MG is.
Yeah, the future of MG is looking bright, isn't it?
Yeah, like imagine if they made a like in a few years down the line, if they made a new sports car.
Well, they are hinting at something like that. I mean, we've already seen that they're well ahead of the technology curve, because I'm sure that they'd spotted one of these, but a completely autonomous one that was being tested in China.
Oh. So what's our verdict of the MG ZS?
Well, it's very spacious, it's very economical, and it's extremely affordable.
Now with that 7-year warranty, it really does show that MG have faith in their cars.
And you've got a range of engines to choose from. You've got a 1.5 petrol, you've also got a 1 litre petrol. One comes with an auto box and one comes with a manual box. The only problem is the 1 litre box is only automatic and the 1.5 is only manual.
It would have been nice to see if you could mix and match those.
Yeah.
Now, it's very well equipped. The model we have here is £15,500, but the range does start from £12,500.
And the top of the range, which is the 1 litre turbocharged automatic, is £17,495 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, you know, really, for what you get for your money, it's very, very good.
Yeah, well, you get your alloy wheels, you get your reversing camera, you get your 8-inch screen.
Now, of course, one thing does let it down. It has a 3-star Euro NCAP rating.
Yeah, that's not great. It would definitely be an idea to see more safety features and more autonomy, really.
But overall, as a very affordable car, considering its competitors,
I was going to say, £12,495 for a car like this is, I mean, you get a lot of car for your money, don't you? One thing to note on the lower price models is you do get steel wheels and you do get a cloth interior, but that's where you save your money.
We've been getting around 40 miles to a gallon, which is very impressive as well.
It is. So, if you're in the market for a crossover SUV, it's definitely worth looking at the MG ZS.
For more great impartial car reviews, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.